The Planning Commission, which used to prepare, implement, monitor the 5-year plans, was set up on 15th March 1950 by an executive decision of the government of India. And Planning Commission used to work as a non-constitutional advisory body. And this advisory body of Planning Commission was set up on the basis of the recommendation of Economic Program Committee. Pandit Nehru was also the chairman of this committee. The Planning Commission had the provision of Prime Minister being the chairman and a full-time deputy chairman to look after the day-to-day needs and activities of the Planning Commission. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, being the first Prime Minister of the country, became the first chairman of the Planning Commission, and Gulzarilal Nanda served the Planning Commission as the first deputy chairman. Important point about Gulzarilal Nanda. He was a recipient of Bharat Ratna, the highest civilian award in India in 1997. And Gulzarilal Nanda also served 2 short terms as the Prime Minister of India. First, when Pandit Nehru died in 1964. Second, when Lal Bahadur Shastri died in 1966 in Tashkent, then USSR, now the capital city of Uzbekistan. As we know, after the disintegration of the Soviet Union in 1991, 15 independent nations were formed. Uzbekistan was one of them. The important development happened in 1934 when M. Viswesvaraya wrote the famous book Planned Economy for India. M. Viswesvaraya, the engineer, freedom fighter, talked about the future course of economic development in his book Planned Economy for India. The 51st Haripur session of Indian National Congress under the presidency of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose decided to set up a national planning committee to look into the different aspects of economic planning and different modalities to have economic growth and development in the country. This National Planning Committee studied in depth Soviet 5-year plan model, the plan model that Soviet Union adopted after 1917 October Revolution or Bolshevik Revolution that happened in Soviet Russia. And Soviet model of economic planning, 5-year planning, had great success, and Indian leaders were impressed by the success of Soviet 5-year planning model. 1944, 8 leading industrialists of then Bombay like Purushottam Das, Thakur Das, J.R.D. Tata, G.D. Birla, John Mathai, Ardeshir Dalal, they gave a blueprint of planning based on capitalist ideology in a 15-year time framework under state initiative. This plan was embedded in capitalist ideology. A counter plan was advocated by a socialist thinker, M.N. Roy, known as People's Plan, a socialistic orientation in the economic development in a 10 years time framework. In the same year, 1944, Sriman Narayan Agarwal came up with the Gandhian Plan. As the name suggests, Gandhian Plan borrows the ideology of Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhiji always advocated the case of a self-sufficient village economy, a decentralized economy, development of cottage and village industries. And Gandhian Plan talked about that. 1944-46, the Planning and Development Department under the Ardeshir Dalal was set up by the British Indian government, but this department was dissolved in 1946 by the interim government that was constituted 2nd September 1946. And we know the interim government, comprising of members of Indian National Congress and Muslim League, was formed to assist the British government in the transition of power. This advisory planning board was headed by K.C. Neogi, and K.C. Neogi also became the first chairman of Finance Commission of India. Finance Commission, a constitutional body which is formed after every 5 years under constitutional provision to suggest the central government about the modalities, about the formula of sharing the divisible tax resources between the center and the states and also among the states, as well as the mechanism of giving grants in aid to the states. So K. Sriniyogi was the first chairman of Finance Commission constituted in 1951. This advisory planning board was dissolved on 15th August 1947 when independent government came into being in India after the attainment of independence. 1950, J.P. Narayan, Jayaprakash Narayan, popularly known as J.P. He talked about Sarvodaya plan. Sarvodaya plan derived from the Sarvodaya concept of Vinoba Bhave. Vinoba Bhave, the disciple of Mahatma Gandhi, known for his famous Bhudan movement, donation of land, wherein he walked barefooted across the country, urging the people to donate their excess land so that he could give them to the landless and marginalized workers, farmers. J.P. Narayan was an ardent follower of Vinoba Bhave. So J.P. suggested Sarvodaya plan, Sarvodaya all-round development. And it was to some extent similar to the Gandhian plan advocated by Sriman Narayan Agarwal. Another important development before the Planning Commission was set up was the declaration of the first industrial policy on 6th April 1948 by then Industry Minister Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. This industrial policy paved the way for a mixed economic setup in India by demarcating the roles of the public and private sectors. And once we had the foundation of mixed economic setup, everyone knew that government would come up with economic planning because public sector activities are undertaken under economic planning, wherein all details are put into public domain and also the sense of accountability, the spirit of accountability is brought into picture. So the Planning Commission decided to have a 5-year plan model based on the Soviet plan model and implemented the first 5-year plan on 1st April 1951, continued till 31st March 1956. But Planning Commission was located in Delhi with members chosen by the central government. The central government realized that if the national plan had to succeed, then it was very important to take the states and union territories into confidence, take them on board in finalizing the national plan. National Development Council used to have chief ministers, lieutenant governors of union territories as the members. And once the NDC used to approve the 5-year plan, the Planning Commission used to go ahead with the implementation. Look at the history of Indian economic planning, then the country has successfully completed 12 5-year plans and a few annual plans. Those annual plans were due to specific reasons. First in 1966-69, second 78-80, third 90-92. There were specific reasons, and in one of my future lectures we'll talk about those 5-year plans in detail and also the annual plans, the context in which they happen, and also the outcomes of different 5-year plans and annual plans. So the last 5-year plan, which was the 12th 5-year plan, ended on 31st March 2017. My dear friends, if you are happy with the data based on research, based on my hard work. Please subscribe the channel, share the channel so that it gives me encouragement to do further research and come up with concise lecture with detailed information which can benefit you in your journey towards the long cherished goal. So please subscribe the channel. The 12th five-year plan ended on 31st March 2017. By that time, the NITI Aayog replaced the Planning Commission on 1st January 2015. The government decided to set up the NITI Aayog. The Hindi word Niti means policy, and Aayog stands for commission, so it's called policy commission also. It's called a policy think tank. But if we go by the acronym, then NITI stands for National Institution for Transforming India. So an institution formed on 1st January 2015 to transform India by giving future policy direction and development outcomes in the spirit of cooperative federalism. The NITI Aayog wants to take along the states and the union territories from the very beginning, conceptualization stage, to the end, performance appraisal state. So formulation of plan, implementation of plan, and review of plan. The NITI Aayog wants to foster the spirit of cooperative federalism, because India is the summation of states, is the aggregation of states. If states perform, if union territories perform, India performs. That's the spirit the NITI Aayog wants to embrace in its future course of action. NITI Aayog is talking about a new plan model, a 15-year long-term vision document, a vision for 15 years, divided into two parts, 7-year medium-term strategic plan. The strategy implemented through a 3-year action plan. So the action plan incorporates actual projects, actual programs in terms of the strategy prepared to achieve the long-term goal. So the journey, which began in 1951, and we have reached 2021. So almost 70 years of economic planning, 5-year plans, a few annual plans, and now a new plan model. And also we have seen the background of having the 5-year planning in India in 1951. This is beginning. Another 5-6 videos to come regarding Indian planning, and I promise you, if you watch all these videos, you will have very good idea about the happenings that took place in Indian economic planning from 1951 to 2021. And in